welcome back, Full Fletch podcast. This will be episode 8. We're rolling on the episode count. We're getting it
Rolling,
cranked out. We're
getting them out, letting the people
yeah,
know.
yeah, we were gonna do like just one a week, and then that quickly turned into like two a week, and now it might be like three a week. I don't know. So, um, as of right now, I guess we're gonna go two a week, and if we decide we have a lot more to share and a lot more to talk about, we'll talk more and share more. Get it posted more often. But yeah. So first off, again, welcome back. Got a couple things to talk about today. It's just Brooks and I. Tanner kind of under the weather, and he's also at work right now, so hard to record a podcast from work, but he's also not feeling great. So it'll just be Tanner or Brooks and I today. So super excited to talk about this one. The big highlight. We'll let Brooks talk about that one, and then we're also going to talk some arrows. A little arrow
Mhm.
talk today. I know it's kind of gear talk, but back to the well. It's things we like to talk about.
Yep.
It's important, obviously. Full Fletch archery. That's my thing too. So um, we'll talk a little bit about that. But yeah, my co-host for the day, Brooks. Say what's up.
What's up, everybody? I'm here. It is snowy here in Colorado. We've gotten over a foot of snow. Um, Other than that, everything's good here.
Yeah. I was thinking about trying to get out hunting today because the temperature's cooled off a little bit. And I mean, it's been warm, like very warm, mid upper 70s, like low 80s, humid,
Hmm.
like no moisture. And then we finally got rain a couple nights ago. And then today it was like overcast. The temps were down. And it was like, those deer might start moving a little bit today. But then it was like, we'll give it a day or two. I know it's muzzleloader opener this weekend in Tennessee. So. Um, the Orange Army is starting to trickle in. We'll see how that goes. I may go both days. I may just go Sunday, but I think I'm for sure going Sunday. Go out to hunt, but hopefully they're starting to move around.
Heck yeah. It's
We'll
sorry.
oh, you're good. Oh, I was gonna say we'll talk about it in the hunt highlight episode for next week, but Brooks helped me pick out my spots for the week. So we
Heck
did a
yeah.
little Onyx collaboration. He helped me out a little
Mhm.
bit. So, but like I said, we'll talk about that in the next episode that'll come out after this one. So, cool. But yeah, what were you gonna say there?
I was just gonna say it's third season opens up here. Third season rifle in Colorado tomorrow. So I got
Okay.
one of my coworkers has a bull elk tag and a buck tag. He's
Okay.
got two, so he's pretty pumped. But you can you can do over the counter rifle here for second and third season.
Okay. Nice.
So
You're not interested in hopping in on that?
oh no, I don't have the time. And I'm
No.
on call this weekend. I got invited up by my buddy who runs Caribou Gear to help him like shoot video and like stuff like that for his hunt. But with me on call for work, I'm kind of screwed. So
Yeah. Dang it.
I know,
Dang work. Yeah, I'm gonna
I
work
know,
Sunday too, so I feel you. I
sucks.
feel you. So yeah, the big highlight of the week, of the year, of the month,
Of
Prop 127 of
Prop
our lives.
127 has been denied by the Colorado voters. So big win here for the hunters and outdoorsmen here in Colorado. And for those of you who don't know, who might not know, Proposition 127 was the ban on killing mountain lions, bobcats, and lynx. And the radical left here in Colorado thought it was a good idea to try to come after hunters, and well, that was not a good idea at all. So yeah, it was beaten 55% to 45%. I think they're still finishing up the voting, which is ridiculous. It should all have been done Tuesday night, but that's another rabbit hole I could go down.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
looking at the numbers right now. I mean, it's just on Google, but it's from the AP. It's still saying only 84% reporting, so
yeah,
that number could get a little bit wider margin, but
Mhm.
a win is still a win for now.
Yep, they called the race. A win's a win, and we're pumped about it here in Colorado. And there's still a lot of work to be done. We can't let this get on the ballot again. I'm sure they're going to try at some point, whether it's with the cats again or something else. Um, just because I mean, they don't want you to hunt your food. They want to control you and be like, no, you're going to eat the bugs, like we say. No, you cannot go hunt the greatest meat in the world, kind of thing. So, but for now, it's a win for the hunters, and we're pumped here in Colorado. And yeah, big shout out to everyone who got involved, who spoke out, who helped really educate the people here in Colorado to be like, okay, no, yeah, it might sound good. Oh, how dare you hunt the lions? But at the end of the day, if once they take away the lions, the next you know they'll take away the elk, the moose, deer, and it just goes so on and so forth until, well, we can't hunt anymore. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so shout out to everyone who helped out, and especially Dan Gates and those guys over at Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management. Those guys are awesome. Or Save the Hunt Colorado, however you want to call it. Though I mean, Dan was he's the front runner. He's the guy going to the Capitol every single week. The dude did not rest. Like, shout out to him. Seriously, like, big time, big time.
Hmm.
Thank you to him. So
Yeah. No, and I
I
think
don't know if he'll listen to this or not, but
that'd be pretty sweet if you did.
yeah,
That'd be pretty sweet. But
Dan's an
no,
awesome dude. So
yeah, I think even from our perspective, I know there's a part of me, was hoping for it not to pass, obviously for
mm,
you and all my buddies back in Colorado, but also to, and we said it every time we talked about it, the implications that would trickle down from that, not only in the state of Colorado but the rest of the country.
mhm,
Um, I feel like it could have been a very slippery slope, and this one did not pass, thankfully.
mhm.
And hopefully the next state that it gets attempted at, it comes to the same result, same outcome, and hopefully stronger. We were
Yep,
talking right before we hit record, 55.2% to 44.8%. I mean, it's obviously a victory. But you would hope that we were hoping it would be something steeper, like 60-40 or
yeah,
more, just to have like a solid stamp on it saying absolutely not. But a win is still a win, but uh, hopefully there leaves no doubt,
mm,
and no room for somebody on that side to bring something like that back again.
yep,
So I guess we'll see. Hopefully not. It's still going to be a while before something like that comes up, I think. But um,
yep.
for now, it's out of mind.
It is. And so yeah, we're all happy here. And it was. I mean, most. I'm assuming most hunters are pretty red anyway, so everyone's probably pretty happy about the results of the election. I'm not gonna
Right.
I'm not gonna go into that, but I'm sure. So it was a good night overall. I mean, I know Colorado, we still are democratic here, but whatever, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is America. We all have our opinions, so not going to try to hate anyone for their opinion. Um, but maybe in a few years, Colorado could get a little bit redder, but we'll see.
Right. Well, a lot of counties were red in the whole country.
Oh
It
yeah,
just seemed like the big cities were blue and pretty much everybody else was red. But like
pretty
you said,
much.
we'll try to keep the heavy politics out of it. But you know, uh, whether you think it's good or bad, that's your own opinion. But
Yep,
things are going to change. We'll
yep,
we'll leave it at that. We'll
yep. We're
leave
just
it
gonna
at
leave it
that.
there.
So. Um, Yeah, so that's the big highlight, the big success. I think the next thing we wanted to talk about, we were talking, what's our next rabbit hole? Because I feel like every time we kind of keep progressing in the world of archery, we keep finding a new thing to jump in on and jump down a rabbit hole and try to find out how we can be better. Brooks is giving his full display what we're going to talk about here.
The
We're
arrow.
gonna talk some arrows today. So we'll do like a little, again, surface level on a lot of different things. Obviously there's certain things where you can dive a lot deeper on, but we were both talking what's our next deep dive in the world of archery. And um you could talk about one, like, I'm always going to dive deep on broadheads. Like I was telling Brooks, I have made that deep dive and I still haven't come up for air. I feel like
Mhm.
I probably will never come up for air. Just gonna keep trying to dive deeper
Yep.
until like I find the bottom of the ocean. But like I said, you can find any part to dive deeper on. But kind of as a whole, talking about an arrow build, and we were talking too. It's kind of fitting to talk about building arrows because that is what full fletch archery does. So
Mm.
we'll talk arrows and things that are important to us and things that are on our arrows that we have built. And then yeah. So I guess Brooks, you seem pretty excited. Let's talk about yours first.
All right. Well, if you guys have listened to any of the older podcasts, you know this is the arrow that Justin made me. This is the first batch that he sent me because it doesn't have a logo on it, the A&B Outdoor logo, like the second batch did. But this is let's see, where are we at here? So it is a Victory V Force. It is a 300 spine, the V6 model. I'm still learning all this stuff, so bear with me. Um, we got Max Hunter. Okay, I think I can't.
AAE.
It's veins or is it fletches? I'm sorry.
They're the same thing. When you say one, you mean the other. It's
It's the same
six of one,
thing.
half dozen. Yep. Your fletchings, your veins, same thing.
Okay, because I remember saying I think I said fletchings in one pod, and I was like, is it veins? I'm like, then I got myself confused. So okay, at least they're the same thing. So yeah, they're green and white. I like these a lot. This you can kind of tell. I kind of well, sorry, camera.
Oh,
I
need a
kind of got to
little
glue this one a little bit better.
need a little gluing.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, the bow that I have right now was not the original bow that I bought back in June from Bear. That original bow I destroyed. Unfortunately,
A little oops.
I had a little oops and I dry fired it by total accident. I wasn't trying to be a douchebag or anything like that. It literally happened by accident. So I was at the range one day. It was like July 15th or something like that. And I'm at the 3D range and I'm shooting and I go up uh to get the yardage of the antelope that's in front of me at this at the like bow stand or whatever you want to call it, where you can just put your bow. It's 80 yards, but I wanted to get closer because well, I don't trust myself at 80 yards yet because I was trying to get ready for the hunt in September. But so I went up to like 40, ranged it, literally dropped it, pulled back, shot. Next thing you know, I see my peep flying, and I'm just like, I think my bow just exploded. For some reason, I thought I knocked an arrow, but I did not.
Yep.
And next thing you know, I look at my bow and it's completely derailed.
It's in shambles.
The cams are bent, and I'm like, great, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So what happened is I bought it online, but I took it to Cabela's. I probably should have took it to an actual like pro shop, but I knew Cabela's was um, a bear archery
Distributor, dealer.
distributor dealer, whatever you want to call it. And so I went there, and I know they have like their own little bow shop there. So I was like, all right, let's just see what they say. And they ended up sending it back, and I must have got lucky because Bear sent back a brand spanking new bow at no charge. And I know in their warranty it says that dry fires are not covered. So I don't know, Bear. I hope you're not watching this. Um, so I don't know if Cabela's like didn't
Cover,
tell them
cover,
I dry fired it,
covered your ass a little bit.
or maybe they covered my ass. Like shout out to those guys. And so I ended up getting a brand new bow. So, anyways, they did put on because I was worried. I was like, "Oh crap! Is my Hamsky rest that I bought
Mm,
separately with that bow?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, you're fine." I was like, "Oh thank gosh." So,
yeah.
anyways, they put it back on, but the little riser was too much up, and too I guess up a little bit too much. Where once you obviously let go, the fletchings or the veins will hit it. Um, but I didn't really like understand that at the time, and so I went
Mhm.
to the range and sorry, that's kind of a longer backstory than I want it to be. But I shot a couple times. The next thing I'm like, these kept the veins of the fletchings kept peeling off. I'm like, why is that happening? And I look at my rests and I'm like, ah, I see that. So I quickly YouTubed how to fix that, fixed it right away. Now we're
Mm,
good. So
now we're good.
yeah. But anyways,
Your arrow builder needs to use better glue.
I guess so. Yeah, use better glue, arrow builder. Um, and then obviously I got two arrows. I got my field tip, field point,
Right.
whatever you want to call it, broadhead. Um, I got these lighted nocks. These are the what were the ones you sent me again? I'm sorry. The
Uh, did you do nocturnal or luminoc?
Luminoc.
You were luminoc. Yep.
So there's that, and then these are just the regular nocks that came with the second set he sent me. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, just
that's
the stock
yep, just stock. I know you sent me some
red
black ones
knock.
too. So, but yeah, that's my arrow setup. So yeah, well, actually, you go ahead. You start
All right.
with yours, and then
Cool.
we'll dive deeper into it.
Um, yeah, so my arrow itself is the Easton 6.5. I got the 250 spine. Um, so based on the spine chart and the arrow weight that I want to have, eventually what my plan was to have like a very, very heavy uh broadhead or forward of center. And so to have that much weight, 250 spine, I mean, I'm your kind of your stereotypical standard draw length, draw weight, 29-inch draw, 70-pound draw weight. So that's like the most common numbers when you're looking at draw. And so most people that are listening are probably like, hey, that's my same numbers, but why are you shooting a 250 spine? It's because of the arrow weight. And so that's part of the deep dive, figuring out, what spine would be best, what's underspined, what's overspined, things of that nature. But we'll get into that. But yeah, well, I guess we'll start from the back. I went with the Halo Knox. I forget that they're a newer brand. I think they got or somebody bought out some other company and then made Halo Knox. I like them. They're a little bit easier to disengage than like nocturnals or I've never used Luminox, but I use nocturnals. They are easier, I think, than nocturnals or
Mhm.
than than nocturnals when I use those. So that part is nice. I will say they're not as bright, but um like compared to like nocturnals, those like glowy brightness, it
Mhm.
didn't really do I don't know if I really like that or if I like this more dim. Like you can obviously still see it, but um, the difference is like a glow versus just like an actual light. I don't know. Well, I guess we can get into that later too. But um, then my veins are the VeinTech. I believe they're 2.25 inch, and then um, yeah, I went with a four Fletch for my hunting setup this year. And then up here on the front. I don't have my field points. I feel like that's not super important for me. I just about sliced my hand open on my broadhead. Um, but I just went with the stock inserts, which I feel like that's kind of a huge mistake that I made when it comes to my arrow weight, especially. because I can't get these inserts out. I use super glue, and the glue I use, it's like one and done. You either use it or lose it. So we'll get to that. Also, like I said, there's a lot of different talking points when it comes to the arrow. And then the deepest dive, like I said, broadheads. These are iron will 125 single bevel with a right hand bevel. So my fletchings, same with Brooks's, they're on a right hand helical, and so match your helical to your single bevel. If you don't have a single bevel, your helical won't matter really. So like if you have a double bevel, or if you're using like Brooks, the three blade, fixed blade, your bevel or your helical won't matter. You can try to match it to what your bow naturally shoots or rotates your arrow. So it just kind of depends. Some people, I believe they say a right-handed shooter, your arrow, when you don't have any vanes on it or anything that will, like if you just go bare shaft and field point, your arrow will tend to rotate to the left. And so having a right helical, it kind of counters that. But anyways, you match your helical to your bevel if you're using a single bevel. So um, yeah, I guess that's kind of that on what my arrow is. I think I had mentioned it before. My total arrow weight is 465 grains. Brooks, what was yours? Yours was around 550, wasn't it? Do you remember?
Something like that, like 520, 550.
Yeah, I have it
I
in my
gotta
notes somewhere, but
look at it again.
yeah. So like I said, where I kind of messed up when it comes to the weight of my arrow, I use this stock insert. Um, I would like I've mentioned it time and time again. I would like my arrow weight to be up to 550, 600, 650. And I feel like my insert is a good place to start on top of having a heavier broadhead. So, um, those are the dry basics, surface level of my arrow. Now everybody gets to see it aside from the video of me shooting the doe and me just talking about it. So, uh, yeah, where do you want to start on the arrow talk?
Oh man, I guess we can start at like do you have a plan or an idea of how you want your arrow setup to be for next year? I know you're in
Yeah,
the middle of your season.
right.
I'm technically not, so I guess we could say for 2025,
Yeah.
what were we thinking?
Yeah, so I guess where my deep dive starts is what company or brand of actual arrow shaft to use. I feel like I'm pretty set on what spine I want to use because, like I said, I'm gonna go with a heavier arrow setup overall, and having a lower spine, heavier spine, whatever you want to call it. Um, that stiffer spine is going to be what I'm going to use. That's not going to change. My what is going to change for me is, am I going to use Easton? Am I going to switch to Ultra or Sirius or Victory or some other brand? There are lots and lots and lots of brands. I think it just kind of depends on what do I think is going to be best, and also cost effective wise, what's also going to be best there. So for me, that's where I'm going to start is what brand do I want to use? Before I dig deeper on that, what are your thoughts, Brooks?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking for next year as well, kind of figure out like if there's any other brands I want to just try out.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've only shot Victory so far. Um, which I mean I like them a lot. Don't be wrong,
Hmm.
but at the same time I'd like to try others too because I don't want to just since I'm so new. That's the benefit of being so new to archery is I can pretty much kind of just be like, all right, who do I actually like, just and be able to just pick and choose. Now I know I'm not saying like if you're super experienced you can't pick and choose, but like for me
Right.
it's just like I don't know what feels good and what feels bad right now.
Yeah. Then
So
you also have the advantage of like little to no prejudice.
Mm,
You have no I guess moral obligation or history with it with a brand and being like, whoa, I'm ride or die. I'm not ride or die Easton. Honestly,
mm,
the reason I chose Easton for this arrow setup, they were the cheapest arrow I could get at a 250 spine, um, and build myself. And so that's just the reason I went with it. I would say they are pretty good quality. There are better arrows out there, I would say. I haven't had much issue with like arrows breaking. My one arrow did break in the doe, but I think what happened was it just got inner and it it bent so much, and I think she landed on it and broke it when she first went down. So
right.
I don't think it mattered which arrow I used. I think it was gonna break. That first arrow was gonna break no matter what if I made that same shot. So um now, I keep going back to it, but if I would have had a heavier arrow, I think it just would have gone right through her, and I probably wouldn't have
Right.
had a broken arrow. La di da. That's kind of what it is at this point. But
Mm,
I do think, now diving a little bit more into, okay, let's say we're gonna pick a brand. You name it, whatever. I guess, hold on, I skipped a part that I wanted to talk about. I know, Brooks especially is kind of a patriotic fella. Um, there are brands out there that are made in the USA. Is that something that, do you consider that in your, not just arrows, but in your buying process? Is that something you consider a little bit, a lot of it? Where are you at with that in your buying process?
yeah, I mean, I would probably I would definitely prefer things made in the USA.
Okay.
Now, there are things that are not made in the USA that still are really good quality, so I'm not going to try to knock. Now, if it's like China, um, probably not the best quality, as we
Yeah,
know. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I don't even know. Is Victory made in the USA?
I
Um,
believe they are.
trying to see if it even says on there. It says it doesn't say on here. But yeah, I think made in the USA goes a long way for sure. I know like there's starting to be more clothing brands out there too, like Origin. There's another one that's made in the USA. It starts with an F. I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, like so yeah, I guess when it comes to I would definitely consider okay, is this being American made? It is great. Like I like these guys already. So, but at the same time,
Right.
I also want to make sure like it's quality.
Yeah,
So
for sure. For sure. Based on my initial research, Victory archery arrows are indeed made in the USA.
I feel like
Um,
most stuff archery is made in the USA. I know there's some other stuff that's not, but I feel like most is
yeah,
from what I've seen so far.
yeah. Arrows is kind of one thing that, you know, the carbon aspect of it. Um, it's always going to be cheaper right now to have products made somewhere else and
Hmm.
manufactured somewhere else and then distributed in the US.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I would have to do some more research on other brands. I know Ultra is a brand that I was very curious in,
Hmm.
or on going into this year. Again, it pretty much boiled down to price point, but um,
Those are some
they're
yeah, expensive arrows.
yeah, but their I guess their claim to fame or hot selling point is their no spine technology, where or it's all spine, whatever. There's so when you're talking about your spine, there is a point on each carbon arrow.
Hmm.
Uh, when you go over it, it has like a stiffest point. Ultra, I believe from my understanding, Ultra's claim is their whole arrow is all the same stiffness. You're not going to find the spine on an Ultra. It's all going to be the same. So you're not going to have a soft spot or a spot that's more firm than the rest. Um,
Interesting.
so that part of it is appealing because when you're building an arrow, or sighting in your arrows, shooting your arrows, uh, you want that spine to be on top. If your arrow has a spine,
Mhm.
like Easton or Victory, they claim to have the spine aligned already for you out of manufacturing. So um, they claim to do it for you, which is great. But Ultra, you don't have to worry about it. You can just fletch up your put on your vanes, put on your knock, and it doesn't matter what orientation that uh, actual arrow itself, the carbon part of the arrow itself is in. You just glue
Mm.
and go, get it
Hmm.
set up. Um,
Interesting.
when you're looking at other arrow brands, like Easton, I don't have a spine tester, so I don't know where the spine is on this.
Mm.
There's other ways to do it. Some of them might be like old wives' tales, or just like total fiction, but
Right.
there's ways I guess that you can test it without these actual spine testers. But that's something that I would love to invest in, because I feel like it's an important part of sighting in your bow and shooting your
Mhm.
arrow. Because talking about spine alignment and knock tuning and stuff like that, you can do it by knock tuning to get your arrow to fly better, and that typically will say that your spine is oriented up. So anyways, that's the perk I would say of Ultra, is
Mm.
the ease of being able to just, get all of your components together, and you just know that you can put it together and it's ready to go. You don't have to do an extra test to find the spine, and then base everything else off of where your spine is. Like I said, Victory, they do have that. It says on that part, it tells you spine aligned or whatever, and there's a little bit of a line, like a red
Mhm.
line on yours, I remember.
Right.
Um, so those are nice. When
Oh
they
yeah. It says
they
right
do
here.
it for you. Yep, there it is.
Bang.
Yeah. Yeah, so they do it for you. Again, I don't have a tester, so they could be making false claims that that is the spine. The guy that I had build my arrows for me before I got into it, I believe he had a spine tester, and he would spine test before fletching or
Mm.
gluing on all the veins. And he would do it based on the spine. So
Gotcha.
um, it's not a cheap tool, but it's something that is very effective and useful, especially if you're in my business. So uh, yeah, I think brand made in the USA, that'd be ideal. I think
Mhm.
the patriotic side of me is like I would love to invest in things that are made in the USA.
Yep.
Um, if it's cheaper to go somewhere else, and I just really can't afford to go with something that's made in the USA and high quality like that, then so be it. But I think that's the place I look at first, um, along with those feet, like those made in the USA ones, like Ultra and Victory for sure. Um, they have really good features, and they're very high quality. I mean, there's a reason
Mhm.
their price point is where it's at.
Right.
So.
No, I agree.
Um, the third one I've looked at is Sirius. I have no clue about them. I know that they're kind of halfway partnered or whatever with the Ranch Fairy. They make a broadhead, a Ranch Fairy broadhead, and then they do the heavy arrow build kits
Mhm.
for Ranch Fairy. So they're partnered with him. So I don't know if their arrows are made in the USA, or what their whole thing is, but I believe they're a good quality arrow as well. So I think that for me, those are the three that I kind of would want to choose from. The good thing about Sirius and Victory is they have different levels. So like
Mhm.
yours were like the super um big, I guess you would call it beginner. The 0.003 um straightness,
Mhm.
whereas there's other ones that are 0.001 straightness. So all that means is, you can control that a little bit when you're cutting the arrow. Like if you're going to cut your arrow on both ends, you can kind of control your straightness, but that straightness that they give you out of the box, the total arrow being straight, is it going to
Mhm.
have any wobble? So there is a chance that, with when you make your cut, it's still going to have a wobble. Like pre-cut, it has a wobble. You make your cuts, they're super straight. It could still have a wobble because the carbon itself is not guaranteed to be straight
Mm-hmm.
on that arrow. So, um, point oh oh 0.001 means a 0.001 of an inch uh, range of straightness. So
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much guaranteed to be straight. It's not going to have very much wobble. Point oh oh 0.003, it's going to have a little bit more. Um, Now you could buy a point oh oh 0.003. I think they even make a point oh oh 0.005. Some brands do.
Mm-hmm.
You could buy a point oh oh 0.005 and it could be in theory straighter than an arrow that's supposed to be a point oh oh 0.001.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, they have that range of those brands, Sirius and or yeah, Sirius and Victory. They have the brand the range of these ones less, these ones more forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
The other one I keep forgetting about, Black Eagle. Black Eagle is a really good brand. They were the brand that I've used the most. So,
Okay.
like I said, there's so many arrow brands out there, and I could sit here and just tell you all these different names, but most of them are quality. If you've heard of them, they're probably good. If you've never heard of them, I'd be skeptical. But
Yeah.
so that's kind of the brand. Looking at the brand.
Okay. Here, hold
Look,
on. I gotta close the door.
you're good. You're good. I guess then the next part, unless you have any other comments, questions, concerns about brands, we'll kind of get into talking about spines a little bit more, since it is talking about the arrow itself. Um, I'm just going to kind of keep rambling here until you. Can you still
I'm
hear me?
I'm back.
All right, there he is. So we're going to talk a little bit about spines and choosing your spines. So,
Mhm.
um, what spine is yours? I do not remember.
It is a 300 spine.
Yeah. Okay. So every brand is going to have a different spine, like a different spine chart. So, you
Mm.
know, Victory is going to be different than Easton, who's going to be different than Ultra, who's going to be different than Sirius. It's in general, they're all going to be very close.
Mm.
They're all going to say the same, almost the same thing, but some will
Mm.
say, for your draw length and draw weight, arrow speeds, stuff like that. They're going to say, oh, you should be a 300 spine or a 350 spine or a 250 spine, whatever.
Mm.
So the only time that changes, you know, typically when you look at the charts, it'll be like, okay, what's your draw length? What's your draw weight? And then, you just find that chart and there's your point, and it says, okay, your the ideal spine for you is like for me, 99% of the time it's going to be a 300.
Mm.
For you, I believe it was the same. But you were like always on the cusp of 300 to 250, I believe, because your
Okay.
longer draw length.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
I got a 30 draw. I have a 30 draw length and a 70-pound draw weight.
yeah. So, um, with the longer your draw length gets, the faster your arrow is able to go. And when
Mm.
your arrow is faster, you want that spine to be a little bit stiffer,
Mm.
typically. We had kind of talked about it before. You can
Mm.
control some things. Like you can be a little bit underspined. Like you can go to a 350 spine, um, and just make sure that your fletchings, your veins are maybe taller and they can
Mm.
control the flight a little bit better. Um, what have you. But typically to keep it more straight, without having to put on too many components that will control the flight, a stiffer spine is going to be better.
Mm.
Um, like I said, you could drop down to a different spine. Drop down being go up to higher number, less stiff. Um, I don't exactly know what that number actually tells you. Like what I don't know what 250, 300, 350. I don't know what that number directly means.
Mm.
Um, all I know is 250 is stiffer. I mean, they make a 200 or 150. I think I've seen a 150 out there. Oh, there's my fireworks.
Some
Um,
fireworks.
the lower the number, the stiffer the spine. The higher number, the more flex it has. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah. Uh, I think in general, for what I'm looking at, I would look at for myself, a 200 or 250 because I'm trying to have a heavier arrow on the front. And when you have heavy weight on the front, you don't want something super flexible on the back to, that front is going to go and it's guiding your arrow, but on the back it's more or less kind of steering it. So if it has more
Right.
flex and your front is going and it's pulling it good. That's the way I've learned to talk about it more. Your front is pulling everything behind it, and then if you have a super flexible shaft with your veins on the back kind of steering it, guiding it a little bit more.
Mhm.
If it flexes more and then it catches just right, in theory it should catch, it's going to steer your arrow off course if it's
Mhm.
too flexible. So,
Right.
if you have a lot of weight on the front, it's going to be pulling, not faster, but it's going to be pulling with more energy.
Mhm.
And if this flexes enough and it'll catch the wind and it'll cause your arrow to fly off course, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
So,
Interesting.
um for me, 250, 200 is going to be my goal. And that's mostly because of my arrow weight that I'm wanting.
Mhm.
Um for you, you would have to be, not have to be, but you would want to look in that 250 to 350 range, mostly based on your draw length.
Right.
And if you're looking to go up and draw weight or anything like that. But
Yeah, I mean,
what are you looking at doing?
I'm eventually wanting to go like get a bow that can go up to 80 pounds.
Yep.
Um, so I guess if I do that, so if I go, I'm a 30 draw, um, and I go to an 80-pound draw weight, what should I do for that?
I would say 250 should be your maximum spine. We
Hmm.
can we can find an arrow that is a 200 spine. Depending on what you're trying to do. Like if you're trying to have a heavier arrow setup. Now again, you're pretty much elk only with archery right now, so your shot distances are going to be a little bit greater. Um, you know, it all depends on what you want, and having a
Hmm.
faster arrow, heavier arrow, it's all going to boil down to those different aspects. But it mostly boils down to that. Like what kind of are you wanting, a heavier system, a lighter system, faster system, slower system?
Right.
Um, but for you, I would say 250 is going to be kind of that area because it's going to be longer draw length, heavier draw weight. Um, I mean, you could maybe get away with a 300, but 250 is going to be kind of a good spot.
Hmm.
Um, if you go a heavier arrow, obviously, stiffer spine.
Okay.
The heavier you go, the stiffer I would go
Okay. Do you
on
think
that.
it'd be more beneficial to go with four fletchings?
I think so.
Yeah.
Um, Especially for hunting. Um, I I mean, yes, it adds weight on the back. I mean, these veins are 7 grains apiece, so you're not talking about adding 100 grains on the back.
Right.
But instead of it being 21 grains, it's now 28 grains in
Mm.
fletchings or in your fletching. It's not that big of a deal. I
Okay.
like it because it's easier to see, low light situation, something like that. Obviously, I went with white. You can go with like a more fluorescent color, of a color you can see better for you.
Hmm.
I like the white. Um, the reason I don't do it for like 3D shoots is, especially white, it gives the next person shooting behind you a target, and
Mm.
you don't want them busting your arrows. That's
No.
really, like, they're the only purpose really for having the veins in a 3D shoot is the actual flight of the arrow.
Hmm.
For hunting, I feel like it has a dual purpose of one, it's helping control the flight of the arrow, and two, you can see it way better when it's all white and you have that extra fletching or that extra vein. gives you a
Okay.
little bit more visual feedback. Which also, I guess that's the same. Like you wouldn't want to use a lighted nock for a 3D shoot. Like a darker. I use like a kind of a see-through but black knock
Mm.
for shooting 3D this year,
Okay.
and I liked it better for that instance because same reason. The person shooting after me didn't have something to shoot at, which you know I don't care if I hit a 12, I want everybody to hit 12s. I'm not that competitive with it,
Mm.
but I don't want them aiming directly at my arrow because when you have something so prominent to aim at, there's a pretty good chance you hit it, and I just didn't want people blowing out my arrows all the time. So
Yeah.
that was that was my biggest thing. When you actually get competitive with it, like having black veins, black knock, like it doesn't matter to see it until you get up and actually look at it. Now,
Mhm.
if you are not super great and you miss a lot, you might want something that you can see a little bit better. But um, maybe that's a whole different conversation. But
That would be
um,
me
you're
until I
learning,
get better.
you're learning. But
I'm not a bad shot.
no.
It's getting better.
Um, So I guess with the arrow weight aspect of it, so we can talk a little bit more about components. We got about 15-20 minutes left. We can talk a little bit more.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how in depth to get with everything, but I guess we can kind of fly through these other things. We'll leave broadheads until a whole we keep saying we'll just keep putting that on the back burner. It's a big one. It's a big diving board, deep
Mhm.
ocean. That's a huge conversation to have.
Yep.
Um, but components, actual things that are glued or semi-permanent to your actual arrow shaft.
Mhm.
You'll have some arrows will have back components. I typically don't, just because I know how important FOC is, forward of center. Um,
Mhm.
when when you add more weight on the back, you have to add almost double to the front. So, if
Mhm.
you're going to add something to the back, uh, you better have a dang good reason for it, in my opinion. So,
Right.
and unless you're really wanting, like, if you have a thicker diameter arrow, like a wider diameter arrow, and you have smaller nocks, you'll put in a back bushing, a
Mhm.
back bushing component, to be able to fit a smaller nock into that thicker arrow. Again, that doesn't happen very often with hunting arrows. It happens a lot with like indoor shooters and
Mhm.
sometimes 3D like competitive shooters.
Okay.
Um, Hunting arrows, like mine is about as big as they get. The 6.5. It's like the 243 diameter, or 245 diameter, and then they get smaller. So you get down to
Mhm.
like a micro diameter, like 5 millimeter, 4 millimeter arrow shaft. They make nocks that fit those. So you
Mhm.
don't need to, like, there's no component to install on the back to help your nock fit. So again, like I said, FOC very important. Um, any weight you add to the back, I would say you're going to add just as much, if not more, to the front to counter
Right.
that. Um, with that, you know, you can start looking at your quality of components.
Mhm.
Aluminum versus stainless steel versus those are typically your two, aluminum versus stainless steel. Um, you have all sorts of different components,
Mhm.
especially like your front bushings. Uh, you got half outs where they're halfway inside, halfway outside. Of where you're screwing in your point. Um, the one that you and I both have is just the normal full insert.
Okay.
Um, and then yours is unique, I guess, compared to mine. We installed back weights on theirs. So
Mhm.
I forget, Brooks, how much weight I put in on yours. I believe it was 50 additional grains in
Okay.
those back weights. So the whole point of that, you had told me, uh, you're shooting 100 grain broadheads. Um, and when I was looking at, building that arrow, it was, you get certain grains per inch on your shaft, and then
Mm.
whatever that number was, it was like, okay, his FOC isn't going to be very high. His arrow weight isn't going to also not going to be very high. It's going to like it was going to be kind of where mine is at now with 450 ish before
Mm.
everything. And then I said, okay, so we went with a heavier insert as well as back weights. So I forget what the lighter insert for yours were, but we went with an upgraded insert to be
Mm.
a little bit heavier, and then we also installed back weights.
Okay.
Again, that's just weight to have on the forward center, at the front of the arrow. So
Mm.
that'll help with penetration, as well as arrow flight. If you have too low of forward of center mass, your arrow flight can get a little wonky. So,
So this arrow with my broadhead on
mhm,
is lighter than this one with my field point. I can feel it.
you can feel it.
Yeah.
Which one's lighter? The old one or
The
the new
new
one?
one. The old one's lighter, the new one's heavier.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to here. I'm gonna place my thumb at the V of victory or a V force. Yeah, the new one's heavier.
Interesting.
I don't it's
Like
here.
noticeably heavier?
Yeah, noticeably heavier. Cause I'm just like I'm listening to you and but at the same time I'm like trying to feel these arrows out weight wise and I'm just like, wait a minute. It feels like
You're
this is maybe 50 grains heavier than this one.
really.
I don't
It's
know.
pretty significant.
Yeah,
Um, you're sure that field point isn't um heavier?
it might be.
Oh,
it,
that
it,
it
could-
that might be it.
it,
Because
yeah,
they should still be the same back weights.
right.
I didn't install more back weights on those newer ones, so um,
Yeah, it's definitely the field point,
it
which
feels
is
heavy.
funny. I don't know what I thought I had 100 grain on the field points compared with the broadheads.
Broadheads.
Huh. I guess you what I need to buy myself is a arrow scale.
Yep.
That is because it's like what, $40? They're not
Yeah.
expensive.
No.
Um, that way I like no because I'm using the scale, my like food scale, but it doesn't
Mm,
have grams. It has I think it's
ounces.
ounces. Yeah, and so I'm like
Yeah.
doing the calculation that way.
Right. There is like a direct equation or whatever to
Hmm.
get it from grams to grains, but it's not as precise, obviously, as
Hmm.
straight up measuring grains. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, I guess the last kind of point on components, you know, as much weight as you want. It also depends on what weight of broadhead you're going to use. Like for me, I'm going to use a heavier broadhead, so like I'm hoping to use a much heavier broadhead, so I'm not too concerned about what my insert weight is going to be. I
Right.
am going to be concerned about my material that my insert is going to be made out of. So right now it's aluminum. I'm gonna move to a stainless steel.
Hmm. Okay.
What do you got there?
Just the broadhead.
Oh yeah.
If anyone can see it, I don't know if you can or not.
What are we looking at? Is it dirty?
It is a little dirty. Sorry. I'm trying to show people.
Um, so yeah, I think material type. I mean, I haven't noticed anything bad about an aluminum insert, but
Hmm.
I do believe a stainless steel just to be a little bit more sturdy. That's what I'll go with, I think. We kind of hit on it, veins, for hunting. As of right now, I'm not going to go away from it. A four Fletch white, all four white. I might change what type I use. I've
Hmm.
seen a couple different brands, like a new brand. I forget what it's called. Uh, it came out and they're supposed to be quieter and um, just better at being a vein than other
Hmm.
veins. So I'll have to let you know what those ones are called. But
Yeah,
I
you have
would
to let me
like
know.
I would like to look into those and see if they're worth it. But Yeah. The other thing, going back to it, arrow diameter. We kind of missed that. I mentioned it a
Mm,
little bit. But arrow diameter, um, a smaller diameter is going to be a lighter arrow, but it can also lead to better penetration. Obviously,
mm,
it's going to have less surface area to drag inside of an animal.
right.
So, if you're going to go smaller diameter, it would kind of equate to even more weight in what your components or your broadhead would need to be. If you're trying to, you're going to lose weight by having a smaller diameter arrow,
Mm,
increasing your weight in your broadhead and insert to kind of counter that one action to even it all back out. Um,
right.
I'm looking at doing that. Uh, Again, based on penetration and I don't care about my velocity. If you like, a lot of people do it because they want more velocity. I want
Mm,
it because I want more penetration. So a
right.
smaller diameter, better penetration. Um, I think they're coming out with more science to back that claim. As of right now, it's kind of like I believe it's a theoretical claim, but
Mm,
I can see how it makes sense. Something skinnier, more narrow, it goes through something better than something that's thicker, fatter,
right.
whatever. So
I've never even thought about that before.
yeah,
Rabbit holes.
there's so many things that, like, when I've done my small dives into things, it's like,
Hmm.
wow, would have never thought about that. And that was one
Mm,
that I came across more recently that was like, that makes a ton of sense. Like,
right.
my broadhead, I want it to be longer, not skinnier than it is now, but I want it to be
Mm,
longer and narrow, um, because I want it to penetrate. So my actual point is going to be more narrow,
mm-hmm.
but then, like, okay, if that's narrow, if I want that to be narrow to penetrate better, why would I not want the whole rest of the shaft and everything else behind it to be narrow as well to penetrate better? So
Right.
that's my thing. I think that's my route next is a smaller diameter.
Mm,
Again, when I do that, you're going to lose grains because it's less material.
mm,
So finding a heavier insert, back weight, heavier broadhead, something like that. For me, that's what I want is a heavier arrow. So I'm going to find all those components to make it heavier, uh, and get back to the weight that I want.
mm.
I think that's it on the arrow stuff that I'm looking at. What are your thoughts? I guess the big question that I have for you is,
Mm.
what do you want out of your arrow? And we'll hit a pause. I'll give you a chance to think 2 more seconds about it. But
Okay.
I'll highlight this for the listeners. This is the most extended version, like, of a conversation I at Full Fletch Archery will have with a customer to say, what do you want out of your arrow? And so all this
Mm,
backstory is gonna kind of get skipped,
mm,
but this is kind of the discussion that I have with customers is, what do you want out of your arrow? Do you want faster? Do you want slower? More penetration? Does
mm,
penetration matter to you? Do you just want something a little bit better than you can get out of the box store, or
mm.
do you want something exactly that you want? And so, and if you know what that is, let me know, and we're going to build it. So back to you, Brooks. What do you want out of your arrow for next year?
So I'm thinking I definitely want to try the four fletches, four veins for sure.
Good.
Um, I would like to toy around with speeds, or not speeds, sorry, with weights, just to kind of see where my speed is at for sure. Um, and because like we're talking about, because I want to do 3D archery,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I want to see hunt. Um, and so trying to like find an arrow or like whether one's for 3D, one's for hunting type of thing. I like the idea of the white veins for the arrow, just so you can see better while you're hunting. I like that idea a lot, so I definitely would like to try that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then just like to really like I don't know, really try to try a couple brands, see what I like, and kind of then just dial it in. Try to
Yeah.
get it dialed in by probably March or something like that, right before 3D season starts.
Hmm.
Now I know there's winter ones indoors here in Denver,
Right.
um, but I don't. I might try to do those. I'm just not sure where to go from there. But
Yeah.
I know for like Western Hunt Fest or Total Archery Challenge, I'm already eyeing a couple for Total Archery Challenge for next year. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's what. And then yeah, I think that's what I'm eyeing mostly. Uh, yeah, mostly for next year. I think that's what I'm eyeing.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think it's a good place to start. Obviously, we have some research to do
Hmm.
for both of us on, you know, the wide variety or wide array of brands and
Hmm.
all the array of variety that they all offer, because you go to one website and they have eight options, and then you go to another eight websites and they all have 8 to 10 options themselves, and it's like, holy cow, how do I choose? Most of them are going to be really good, and it is going to
Hmm.
come back down to price point. um I I keep kind of skipping parts, but it's like also how, like, what the components do those brands offer? So do they have
Hmm.
quality components that they sell that are very compatible for yours, or do they not really offer components? And then you have to go to a website, a different website, to buy components, and they, like, you rely on a Reddit thread to say, oh yeah, these components that are supposed to fit this arrow do fit this arrow, so that you can make it work. And it's like,
Hmm.
I would love to have like a streamlined, and that's something I think I've noticed with Sirius as well, is like they have everything streamlined, and Victory, same thing. Everything is streamlined. They have the arrows, they have the components, it's all, they have the back weights, everything you could want is all from them. It's all going to fit. You don't have the question marks there. So
Right.
I feel like that's a pretty important part too. So
Yeah.
any closing remarks on arrows?
No, I think I touched what I wanted to touch.
Yeah,
Um,
we chopped it up pretty good there.
yeah. Good good surface level conversation on it. So
Yeah, I mean, kind of a deep dive on arrows as a whole, but we could always talk about uh each brand, and how they go about making their carbon and what types of carbon are out there, and like
mhm.
we could have a whole like 30 to 45 minute podcast talking about arrow brands and who has the best carbon and all that, and who weaves it the best. Not the Trump weave,
Weave.
who has the best carbon weave, not conversation weave. Yeah, so arrows, surface level, we could dive way deeper on all the different things, but I think that puts a good wrap on that. Last thing wanted to talk about, I think it'll take me just a couple minutes. What's to come for full Fletch podcast, YouTube, and the business as well. Um, Hopefully sometime soon. I can't put a timeline on it. Looking at having merchandise available. So hats, t-shirts, stickers, things like that. It'll be a way for you guys to support us aside from, likes, shares, comments, subscriptions, follows, all that good stuff.
Mhm.
Obviously you guys can do that. All that's free, and we appreciate all of that as well. But if you would be so generous, or so interested in, some full-fledged swag, some stickers, t-shirts, what have you, maybe coming up with some creative logos and t-shirt
Should get
ideas, slogans.
a big old 3x5 flag right here.
Yeah,
Boom. Full Fletch
full-fledged
logo.
flag. Yep. So be on the lookout. It could be a little while, but that is in the works. Having some merchandise available. Like I said, that's a way that you guys could help support us.
Mhm.
Speaking of supporting us, I'll say it again. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow, do all those things. Share it with people you know. Um, Listen all the way through. Definitely throw some comments below. Let us know what arrows you guys shoot, what arrow brands you've heard of that you're interested in trying. If you have a hidden gem on some sort of components or different parts of an arrow that you guys love, let us know about it. Brooks, what do you got? Closing comments?
I think we're good. 127 didn't pass, so we're good. We're
Yeah.
good. Wait. Double thumbs up. Fireworks.
Oh yeah, we have to double fireworks.
Double fireworks.
Beautiful, amazing. Um, yeah. So look for this podcast. This podcast will be out on Monday. We will get to recording shortly, hopefully sometime soon, a podcast for or two for the days to follow that. So we'll have another hunt highlight podcast within a couple days after this one, and then maybe who knows, maybe another one after that. But be on the
Heck
lookout
yeah.
for 2 episodes a week. So yeah, that's it. Appreciate you guys listening. We'll catch you on the
Thanks,
next one.
guys. See you next time.